Hi, this is Holly Conley, and this will be the Week 7 summative assignment. There are 7 parts we're going to look at to analyze and rewrite a summative assessment. First, we're going to describe the summative assessment in its initial stage, including the learning objectives. Second, we will provide a rationale for the summative assessment. Third, we will explain why the summative assessment needed to be revised. Fourth, we will explain how I revised the summative assessment. Next, we will discuss why I made the specific changes to the summative assessment. Sixth, we will describe how the assessment will be scored. And lastly, I will include a plan for at least one formative assessment that will provide student feedback that can be used to guide the students in completing my summative assessment. So let's look at step 1. The summative assessment that I chose is actually a unit exam covering chapters 1 through 4 in Accounting 1. The issue is it's always been a 40-question multiple choice exam, and that doesn't really allow students to apply the material like we do in our practice. It is more allowing them to read and recite and base more on terminology. So that is the summative assessment in its initial stage. So when I think about this summative assessment, one of the things that I'd like to do is be able to determine, can students really apply what we've learned and be able to create a financial statement like we've taught them to do from beginning to end. So in our book, we have something called serial problems. And this actually does that. It's a series that's linked from chapters 1 all the way through, and it allows us to pull content from one chapter to another to allow students to continue to expand on what they learn in each chapter. So at the end of chapter 4, we are doing the end of the accounting cycle. And what I'd like to do is be able to actually see, can they go from the beginning of the cycle to the end of the cycle? And I think a serial problem would be more effective than a multiple choice exam where that might just be based a lot on terminology. It might be more lower level, where if they're preparing a serial problem, this is actually going to let them apply each chapter's knowledge that we built on from chapters 1 through 4. So what I'd like to do is create a practice problem that we do in class, and then it will be similar to the serial problem that we will do as the summative assessment. This summative assessment will test to see, can students actually apply the process from the beginning of the accounting cycle to the end of the accounting cycle. The reason that this needed to really be revised is if I looked at the test blueprint that I did for this test, it showed that there were a lot of lower level questions, which related more to terminology. And I wanted it to be more application or the higher level like when they're actually showing and demonstrating that they know how to do this. So when you think about those high quality assessments, that's what I kind of want to look at. So how do we show that the students are demonstrating those high quality assessments? So when I think of high quality assessments, I want to think about how do we validate that these really are high quality assessments? And I want to look at the design of the assessment. So that's something that I've been able to put into the blueprint to see if this is a standard test that everyone can be applying the same information. And then I want to make sure that those questions are clear, accurate, and that they're relevant. We don't want the students to be tested on objectives that we didn't cover or are not intended to be tested on in that course, or maybe not even in that chapter. So I think one of the things that we have to consider is making sure that it's reliable. So when we think about that, we want to make sure that no matter who or when the test is being taken, we're going to get the same results. So if we have a serial problem that's based on a whole accounting cycle, then that's going to take the students from the beginning, when they're just doing those basic journal entries, all the way to the closing entries at the end. And that's really important to be able to see if that's really what's going to test them, we have to make sure that, we do have practice along the way and that we've covered those things in class, that we've made sure that they have some way to test that knowledge before they get into the summative assessment. We want to have things in place that allow them to test it. We want to make sure that it's also fair. So when we think about those, we want to make sure that there's cultural sensitivity that's included. We want to make sure there's no bias that would create unfair advantages. We want to make sure that it's accessible to anyone, if they have accommodations, that we're able to accommodate that disability, and making sure that we have allowed for the same setup so that it is fair across the board. In the next step, we're going to explain how I revise the summative assessment using what I've learned from Bloom's taxonomy and incorporating universal design by offering students choices. So one of the things that is challenging is there are different levels in Bloom's that are necessary in Accounting 1. Because it is an introductory course, one of the things we have to think about is that there are those lower levels, and that can be assessed more in our formative assignments to make sure that they are understanding that terminology and those basic Bloom's taxonomy wording and descriptions that we want them to see. But for this summative assignment, I want them to be able to see the progress that they're making from one chapter to another and being able to apply that next step in the cycle. So I think one of the things we have to do is make sure that we're in that higher order level thinking. So instead of just, identifying a word, I want them to actually be able to create a financial statement. So by doing that, they're going to be able to demonstrate their knowledge of each of the financial steps that have to occur to get to that financial statement, whether it's an income statement or a balance sheet. When we think about universal design, it is important to offer student choices, and that gets a little bit more challenging in accounting because a lot of things are very prescriptive and they have to be done a certain way. So the formatting of financial statements is very specific, but we could allow some creativity in how they present it. So they may have to prepare the financial statements, but maybe they could present it in a handout to our students. They could present it in a PowerPoint, or they could present it in a written paper with figures or illustrations in an appendix. So by offering them that different choice, that opens up for the universal design by giving them various options. The next part, we're going to talk about the specific changes to the summative assessment. So when we think about, the actual changes that I've made, I want to think about taking it from that multiple choice where they're just, choosing sometimes their best guess, and actually taking it into the process where they're having to critically think about what happens to that journal entry when you post it. How does that affect the balance of an account? And when we have to make adjustments at the end of the month, how does that make those changes? So I think, making them think a little more critically is why I've made that. I did talk previously, and I maybe got these mixed up a little bit, about reliability, fairness, and validity. But I think, when we think about why we're doing the assessment, I think it is important to make sure that we are making sure that the assessment is something that anyone that has grasped the material from chapters 1 through 4 can apply together. All right, the next part is describing how the assessment is going to be scored. So, including a rubric that clearly sets out the desired performance and expectations for your students. One of the things with creating an actual performance assessment where students are showing you your end product for financial statements, it is easy to prepare a rubric that shows what lines are included in each financial statement, and that the numbers that they created are correct. So they will be prescriptive in that way, but the rubric will be clear, identifying each section of the financial statement and what those numbers should be, and identifying for students what they need to do if they did not get those numbers and how they can verify them. So giving them some kind of feedback, letting them know what they can do to figure out where their errors are. And then the last thing talks about including at least one formative assessment that will allow students to get feedback as they're preparing this to do the summative assessment. And I think for this one of the things when I think about it, I'm thinking more about maybe before they're actually preparing the financial statements, there is some kind of a check-in where we talk about the trial balance numbers that they would do before they would ever prepare a financial statement, to kind of give them some insight into see if they're right before they go through to the last step to demonstrate their knowledge for financial statements. So by giving them that way to check in to make sure that they're on track and that they're understanding the process from one to another would allow them to better see how they can complete that summative assessment. Thank you, and please let me know if you have any questions.